back, guys, to the PPC Community Broadcast. I'm Fawn, joined here by Kresnik once again as we head right into the Brazilian bracket. Europe seemed to be a pretty quick set, but Brazil, I'm not too sure if it'll be the same. Both of these teams have gone back and forth before, and at the same time, I definitely would be a little bit worried if I'm coming into this matchup. You got to come prepared if you're going to fight against both of these teams.
I think for sure. I think Ignite and Carnage have both looked pretty good. I mean, everyone has looked good other than against Parallax, but Carnage and Ignite, I think, specifically have been looking solid against the team they've played. Ignite kind of came out of nowhere. Just a sucker punch from the qualifying bracket. I think some talent across the board in that team. But Carnage with that old PPL talent. I mean, the only only PPL talent, part of the only PPL talent that came from Brazil. I mean, yes, Mitao up in Parallax, but Rashao and Ares on Carnage, kind of from that monopolized team, now have that clutch factor that they had from that coming down. I think Carnage improving a lot once they lost to Spexy. I think they're figuring out where they want to be now that they have their new roster, and where they want to not be is going to be where we are next. Splitstone Quarry and Stone Keep, both banned by Carnage. So interesting, honestly. Those are like the standard maps just taken out, and the response from Ignite Gaming, Ice Mines and Jaguar Falls. So we are going to be nowhere normal, maybe other than Brightmarsh. And just Brightmarsh. Other than Brightmarsh, we're gonna be roaming around Shattered, Bazaar, Warders, surely depending on where we go in this set. But Frog Isle will be the first map chosen by Carnage, as they are the ones who won the coin flip, getting map pick 1. And honestly, Fawn, I have everything prepped. I was actually a good boy during break. We can head right into picks and bans.
Yeah, we're going to head straight into picks and bans, just like you were saying before, Krez. I definitely think that we should just get right into this one, because it's going to be interesting to see all these maps being picked that aren't normally picked. They aren't the usual suspects, right? So
for sure,
they're going to start things off with a Corvus ban, actually. And that's what's interesting to me, is that this is no time wasted. There's already a Corvus ban, followed by the Ash and the Androxus. So they don't want to deal with that sort of verticality, a lot of damage that Androxus brings to the table. So I completely understand that one. And you get rid of the other pocket healers. So Corvus and Genos are now out of the pool here on the side of both Carnage Gaming and Ignite.
Yeah, I definitely would not give them a solo pocket healer. I think it has been pretty effective down here in Brazil. So get rid of that. Don't give them that effectiveness. But we will get an Atlas. Someone who I don't necessarily love on this map. In my opinion, I don't really think he's fantastic. I like him with Deja Vu. I don't really like his big shield as much. I feel like it gives the team too much of an opportunity to pounce once it's down. But it has been effective for different teams if they are comfortable with it. So not shocked to see that go first with the kind of dominance it can have on this map. And Ignite, they just say, hey, we want Strix. Both snipers are open. We're just going to take Strix. He's our preferred. And now maybe they would get, I would say, a point tank. They could also go for a healer specifically if they want to get like a Ying or a Domba or a more targeted healer. But maybe they want someone with less LOS, like a Grover, so they don't have to deal with the sniper on the other team. But Maeve will be their pickup instead, so they get their ideal aggressive flanker. Not sure who on Ignite would play Eevee. I'm assuming it would be Ornstein, but it's going to be Maeve picked up here instead for them to get aggressive in that sense. Maybe struggle into some hit scans if that's what they pick up on the side of Carnage. But an Inara to fill it in, so a very defensive tank composition, which can work on Frog Isle in particular. I think you don't necessarily need your tanks to be hard pushing if you feel like you have the better backline.
Yeah, Atlas and Inara, that's a great combination of, oh my goodness, yeah, and Ying. That's a great combination of not only survivability, but that typical sustainability that we know that Inara has on point. Atlas being that go-to off-tank, and Ying being the healer, coupling both of those two. The Illusory Rift coming online, that's going to be huge for them. But Maudamba, Leon, is what Ignite are going to pick here. And already we're going with the triple DPS. I can only imagine that they might even try and go for a term here. They've already locked in plenty of tanks on the side of Carnage Gaming.
Oh, I thought you meant on Carnage. I was like, you
no.
sure? I wouldn't go for a term here if I were them. But Carnage, I mean, they left their DPS picks to last. I think that's smart, and I think that's why Ignite were like, let's just rush that triple DPS. Don't care about the flex. We'll flex our point tank. We'll see what Carnage want to go. Leon, I don't know how I feel about that being picked up, because Leon is good on this map, but it is a Leon that's going to have to deal with a sniper potentially if Carnage decide to go that route, which they should with their passive tanks. I think they really should be going that route. And Shaolin will go first. High priority in Brazil. We saw what it can do last game, even under distress over in Europe. Shaolin, we know it can be effective here as well. So one more pick for them. A flanker could be a good fill-in here, but it'll be Kinessa instead, having a sniper to duel that Strix, to melt that Maeve if she tries to get anywhere nearby. And this leaves Ignite with one pick, unless we're going back to that start of the PPC meta with no tanks, which I highly doubt, considering how things have looked recently. Ignite, they got to pick a solo tank. Fewer left. You have, I mean, Khan can do it. Nando can do it. He who should not be named maybe can do it into that tank line, but Inara can really bully him out if he tries to play on the objective.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, they might try and go for something here. I felt like Term against that Inara, but Fernando's a good pick too. I actually do like the Fernando here. The Immortal's going to keep everybody alive, especially during those more intense moments of team fighting, and also counters out several ultimates on their team. So that's going to be a very good look for Ignite so far as they round off their draft with their frontliner. Both teams are indeed locked in. In my personal opinion, I'm a big fan of Ignites because Carnage have to play into that. They have something to try and stop the Kinessa, and just they have actually all three of those DPS sort of make Kinessa uncomfortable, right? Leon gets more damage based off of her Q when she is at a certain distance, and Strix you have to worry about him too. So it's about the snipers. Maeve is going to dive in that back line, make Shaolin uncomfortable, and Ying. So I mean, this is a good look. I'm a fan of Ignites personally.
Yeah, I mean the triple DPS can work on this map, but I said it a while ago, but it is kind of traditionally a triple, not a triple DPS map, right? You don't really necessarily think triple DPS will win you Frog Isle, a lot of that. But I will say, someone did just ask, Kinessa, it's able to pick with the bug because of the tree bug in Frog Isle. See, that is not allowed. That's not something you do accidentally. Oops, I teleported into the trees on top of the map. How did that happen? Anything that's like that you have to do on purpose, you just ban the bug instead of banning the specific character themselves for that map, because it's something you have to maliciously do. Then someone just pauses the game and goes, hey, it's in the tree, and then they just do something else with that game. That's how sometimes we have game forfeits, but luckily the players all know the rules and they're not going to be the ones to do that here, as I try to get us over here into Frog Isle. But I think I prefer the Carnage comp solely by having that double tank. I think this is a double tank map, and I also think we're in a double tank meta, even if looking at Brazil doesn't really tell you that, because a lot of these teams are just kind of forcing this triple DPS all the time.
Yeah, and a lot of these teams really feel comfortable in the triple DPS, despite the fact that they don't really have that survivability on their team. They're letting the tanks pretty much do all the work, if anything. I really feel like it's, even though we have the triple DPS, me personally, I feel like definitely what we've been seeing recently is more so battle of the tanks, if anything, right? Because there's always a fight for those front lines that's going to keep everybody else alive, or make sure they can draw attention towards them, or dive into the back, or live on point forever if you are Nara, which is pretty much the only one that can do that as effectively as herself right now. And they're actually going to start off with Wrecker. Everyone's just trying to break that shield.
Yeah.
Both tanks are, yeah. They're just trying to break that shield. They're trying to make Penny as uncomfortable as possible on this Fernando.
Yeah, definitely. I think a smart thing to do, but Nando can still make pressure, still get his ultimate from, not his ultimate, but still get that point presence from and get his shield back in 3 seconds, so a lot of damage gonna have to come into that shield, and these tanks all prioritizing that. But also that lead makes no cauterize for them, so if a tank solos that Nando shield down, he just gets tapped once by the Damba, and he'll be okay. But we are rolling out for the first mid of this Brazilian set, with Scooter heading right to the point, and immediately, a little bit off the top for Ares, he goes down to half health.
12% already for Ignite Gaming. They are the ones in the lead here in terms of objective time. Now everyone's being shot at from different angles, but it seems like most of the people on Ignite Gaming, their health pools are pretty low. They're losing out a lot against these opposing snipers and the DPSs that they have on the side of Carnage Gaming. So they have to play a little bit more careful here. As soon as Ying jumps, he makes sure that he takes the snipe. Same thing for the Inara. It's hard playing into that divider. Govern's going to find the first pick onto Penny. That's a first blood for them already.
And here's the problem with this double tank draft into the triple DPS, right? You see what's happening. Well, here's Rochelle in the backline right now, trying to get the stagger, but Ares doesn't want it, wants to boost his stats a little bit. You saw what happened in Danger Side, right? There was nobody. Everyone on Ignite was so scared. They're just sitting back. Rochelle just walks in and takes that space for free, and of course, Penny's going to go down. He's alone, surrounded by the entire team of Carnage Gaming, because there's no one on his team that can make any level of space. Finally, Deja Vu makes it happen, but it's instantly traded.
Already found one in the form of Ares. Now they have to look at the next target in line here. Not only do they find one, but now they even have a better zone than before. Penny's trying to push as far forward as they can to hold off the aggression here, but every time they push up, they just eat so much damage. Govern finds a pick into the back line on Ornstein. He's in a very good spot right now. Govern finds another beautifully timed jump shot as well. They are so weak. The health pools are so low. Govern in an even better spot. He's going to find a good pick onto them, and here he comes. He's going right on in. Headhunter is there. My goodness, is she hunting some heads right now. Double kill for Govern, as that ultimate gets spent almost instantly the minute they find an opportunity to use it in. That's a great look for them, as they have a minute and 30 seconds remaining. It doesn't seem like they're even going to need a minute 30, as the cart is really almost there.
Yeah, Rachao is locking down that right side spawn, but a Midnight's coming in to try to find some picks on the far side, but Rachao just has second chance. Even with Immortal being spent on point, actually, no one's really getting saved by that.
Ooh.
And they just lose another to Gervin.
Yeah, Govern is actually going to find one, and they're going to look at the next person as well. Playing around that divider so well, Atlas is he's going to find another pick for himself. Exile, just to make sure they can't touch against the point. And what a great start to a beautiful set that Carnage Gaming have laid out for us, as they've bided their time. They played very, very passively for the most part. Ares, the only one that's died on the side of Carnage Gaming, so I can't think you can argue with any of the performances on their team so far.
Yeah, I think having that presence to just push up on the side, control the midpoint, made it very difficult for Ignite. I expect to see a different look from them, I think, heading into this one. They need to keep that map contested a little bit more. They can't just leave Penny alone on an island on the objective. Their healing is not keeping up. Their damage isn't keeping up. They're going to need to be a little more aggressive even without the safety of that tank to kind of fall back to. But Carnage, I think, off to a roaring start and can even maintain this with the item advantage they have after getting all those kills. Look at the Wrecker 2s, caught 2s, even a Wrecker 1 getting picked up by Ares too.
We have to see if they're going to play by Danger this time around. They are. They're not just going to leave that one open. They actually find the first pick. They take care of Ares. Now who will be the next one? As they find one singular pick. Rachao seems to be eating most of the brunt force here. They use that rewind to get his health back. And Anara is going to try and put a little bit of pressure onto that Strix. They found good damage, but that Seismic Crash isn't going to do much of anything right now. They have 42% for Ignite Gaming. The Dread Serpent goes out. Rachao finds his mark at least and is able to at least get some damage on the Leon. Govern's going to find the last two hits as they were already low enough. Good wall by Anara to trap that Fernando in there. Sure they get Rachao, but they trade out Pity for it.
And Ignite have to disengage right now with Scooter running up Danger, but they lost one of their tanks, and so they're not going to have both sides of the map held. They can't necessarily stop anything that happens in main right now. We'll get a look at their POVs. Rachao is back, but Kubi's alone in main actually catches Gervin. That's a big deal for them, losing their Kinessa that they're playing around so hard, but Rachao has that shield. He'll be able to disengage for now, but Kubi's again uncontested in this window.
Exactly. It seems for right now they're shooting really into a wall, if anything. Strix isn't really going to find much. He's going to take a better advantageous position here, find that immediate pick. They get themselves a double kill. Kubi's on the Strix is going to find another one as he finds out a triple. Make that a quadra kill for the Strix. And that's a beautiful look for him. It's Ignite Gaming going to find themselves in the driver's seat here. Carnage Gaming reeling from how the very beginning of the game looked. It looked like it was in their favor. Ignite already turned the situation on its head, and Maeve makes her way back out there despite the setback.
Yeah, I think it was a good by Rachao. Great use of Deja Vu to catch Deja Vu, funny enough, as he was trying to escape. A lot of space kind of being taken by Atlas right now, plus a big group CC in the backline that Scooter is going to take advantage of.
Yeah, and it seems like already Scooter wants to push his way into the back to see if he can create more space for his team. Government is having a field day with this one as he finds himself an immediate double kill. They want to see if they can catch out any retreating members on the side of Ignite Gaming. That Slither just came back up, but Maldama really can't move. They're going to push into him. They might even be able to find this pick. Hopefully out of combat healing will work, but they want to try and focus on Penny for right now. Uses that rewind, gets his health back. They use the setback almost instantly. They're pretty low. Sure, they lose Rachao, but Govern tries to pick onto them. Look at how much they're being goofed up right now as Ares is so low. He has to back up. There's too many people here, and they find that pick. They also find the kill on the Scooter instantly. And this will be everything turning on its head right now as Ignite, on a retreat, are actually going to find themselves back on cart.
Yeah, sometimes if you get a little bit too overzealous, one ultimate can really turn the tide, and it ended up being 2 that time. Well, 3 actually with the Midnight counted as well, but the Dread Serpent plus the Flashbang made it tough for them. And it's going to be hard actually to push into this Atlas, I think. A lot of control he has with that Deja Vu. We can actually splash 3 of them right now, but they're going to stand to the Seismic Crash, and it forces out the Enlightenment.
Okay. Yeah, they actually find one. They find the other two. Aries and Scooter, 1 kill apiece. There's only 3 members remaining on the side of Ignite Gaming. So they have to find their way only back to Cart, but back at a good enough spot for this to matter. Aries may have pushed up a little bit too far. He's going to be the first one that goes down here to Kubies. This is going to turn everything once again on its head again for Ignite Gaming as they are on the retreat. Everyone else is being healed up as best as Ying can handle right now. But as soon as they're being forced to give up their position, they're forfeiting a lot of space. But at the same time, Rashao gave up a lot. But even in this situation, Aries and Govern are going to find still a kill apiece. Can he find another hit? Aries is going to find that one. That's going to be a good look for them. 2 people remaining on the side of Ignite Gaming. And that won't be enough as we end this at a 3-1. One more point. Or as Carnage Gaming has to capture this objective to make sure they can close out this game.
Yeah, I like the pressure by Aries at the end, cleaning up on those kills that Gervin couldn't get. By the way, 15-2 on Gervin on this Kinessa right now. So, intense, I think, for them to get onto him. They're really, really hard. They don't have a real way in. It has to be Deja Vu, hoping he doesn't get melted by everyone else. You saw it just attempted to happen. Deja Vu tries to fly past everybody. Guess what? You can't when there's a Shaolin, when there's an Atlas, when there's a Kinessa staring at you because there's nowhere to really hide on Frog Isle. Why snipers are so impactful and so prioritized here. You just can't make it happen. Healing 27,000 more on the side of Crimson, but he's got an Aura, he's got a second tank, a lot more healing to actually do.
Let's see how Ignite are going to change things around, if they even can this time. Scooter once again heads right back to point, meets Pity in the middle, as all the rest of them seem to be moving by Danger, or really just playing back. They're a couple by Danger, but Pity, it's a little bit too much damage, can't really stay up there in the line of sight, maybe like how they would have wanted to, but they're going to find that pick almost instantly. Takes a shot, takes another, chunking that Anara. Nessa misses hers. Aries finds a shot in the Kubies. So many targets are being hit right now, but no kills. Everyone's still buying their time. Flashbang gets tossed out. Looks like it really was of any value. Immortal as well. As things seem to be rounding around this corner here. Penny wants to get in a bad spot. Everyone else either being exiled or forced back to take a different position. 51% to 23 already. Carnage Gaming seem to be finding a better and better opportunity for themselves to push in. Aries once again a little bit too early, but this might be what they needed to. But the Dread Serpent, Rachao moves in. It's not going to be an immediate push in, but the rewind at least onto Penny is going to be enough to set them back for just a tiny bit longer. As now Fernando has to find a way to touch on the point. If they even can, they find one shot. Will they find the other? They are going to find a kill on the Penny, and that's going to be it. Carnage Gaming submit their first point in this set against Ignite.
That fear actually going off late almost destroyed the plan from Carnage.
Yeah.
Because it was a great seismic crash. It was actually perfect, honestly. And then Rashao turns the corner into a Dread Serpent that's just about to, it's this close to expiring. Yeah. But it gets feared. But enough follow-up is there with Deja Vu running past. And another thing that also could have made things fall apart at the end for Carnage was that 1v1 on point. Deja Vu runs past to try to fight that Ying. Crimson wins that 1v1. Suddenly they're able to keep capping. The rest of the team is forced to commit through Carnage and fall apart. I think it was so close to going the other way, potentially with good use from Ignite. Carnage eked it out. Again, that clutch factor that I said they have really coming in there.
And I think it's important to note the fact that it seems like, if anything, that there's going to be plenty of better opportunities for Ignite to try and see if they can fight back, because they weren't that far behind, really. Sure, the score discrepancy may have been big enough for the game it was being played on, and the map as well. But even from that same perspective, things weren't looking that bad for Ignite Gaming. They were winning some of these trades, they just weren't able to convert maybe what they have wanted to. But hopefully they can try and find and see if they can rectify anything in the second scenario here. As Kubi's 94,000 damage, can't complain, even doing more than the enemy sniper.
And that's not surprising. Again, it's just like how Crimson's healing was kind of buffed because of that. Kubi's damage was kind of buffed. He's fighting into an Anara, an Atlas, who are going to soak that damage. Again, about 100,000 have taken for them each. And compare that to the DPS on Ignite, the team that lost, they took significantly less. There's just more to go around on their side. But I think Carnage did a great job of spreading the damage. Rashao actually doing a ton of damage on this Atlas. Only, 180 less than Aries. KDAs, though, always where the real story is going to be with Gervin going 17-2. Aries dying quite a bit, but, I mean, to open up room for Gervin, I think it's worth it. When you can enable your Kinessa on this map, you're basically unbeatable.
Yeah, and then Kubi's 9-7-3, and everyone else on Ignite Gaming pretty much in the negatives. Kubi's being the only one that is above, or at least positive, I should say, in the KD department. While Carnage are sitting pretty right now. Ying, even Crimson, undying throughout this entire game. That's a beautiful look for a support, especially
Mm-hmm.
if you want them to be able to output as much healing as possible. They knew how important that illusory rift was because of the fact they had that morale boost. Sure, they bought it third, but even still, they felt like it was enough to be able to try and submit a lot of these fights. And look at all the Wrecker. Even the tanks prioritizing it. Ares, even though he only has Wrecker 1, that's still Wrecker they have to deal with. I don't think Penny should have been trying to go to point as many times as they did, because it definitely didn't end well for them. They were prioritizing that Fernando in a lot of these fights, and it just seemed to have paid out.
I think the thing is he had to play maybe a little bit more on the side so he couldn't get surrounded and then rotate to point instead of going early. Because if Fernando goes point early, loses his shield, dies, like they're gonna be like, oh man, I wish I played Barrack, but like Barrack would have done the same thing anyway, right? On the point, if he gets surrounded from every single angle, make room with Nando. You can pocket your DPS and actually make that room for them. The Inara on point isn't going to do as much damage as this Atlas and this anybody else on the other side. If the Shah pushes, if the Kinessa won't push, but if the Shah and the Atlas push on your flank, they're going to do way more damage than the Inara chipping you for like 300 from the objective.
Right, exactly. And that has to be something that you keep in mind as you go into the next draft phase or the next round of picks and bans, as you want to try and decide the best opportunity to counter out that sort of objective time that they have, to counter out that sort of survivability that they have. Maybe even ban the Inara. And I think this is a good question, or at least a question I feel like is important. Do you feel like the Inara ban is relevant in terms of when you compare her to everyone else that's being currently banned in the ban column? Do you think it's better than the Genos, than the Corvus? Is it that much to just take her out of the game, force other people onto different tanks?
I would say I don't think so, purely because I think Inara you can play around Inara, whereas Corvus and Genos, unless you get the super dive comp, which is getting banned a lot of the time, it just changes the game, right? Corvus and Genos. Inara will cap the point. She will cap the point slightly better than every other point tank. Corvus and Genos, if you pair them together, if you manage to get them both on one composition, you are giving your DPS 25% lifesteal, 15% movement speed, 15% more damage. All of this stacking up, that just changes the game completely, right? Just like having a sniper in the game. And that's why those things are being prioritized, because it's a different game with them in it than it is with them out. And it's going to be a different game on Fish Market, which Ignite want to take us to after that loss on Frog Isle, as I bring us into these picks and bans on Fish Market here. So again, I said normal maps were banned, so we're down to the weird ones, and I think Fish is number one in that weird map section.
Yeah, and it's also another polarizing map that we've seen very effectively as well, is the fact that you can really understand that when you look at Fish Market as a whole, a lot of these people that win these fights, whether they have the aggression, whether they have a great defensive composition, whoever sort of wins that mid, it's hard to try and fight back against the remaining members of the team, right? Because of how spread out Fish Market is, almost polarizing or similar to Ice Mine. So we'll have to see how they play on this map. Both of these teams, of course. Ash and Atlas are in the ban column for Ignite. Androxus and Buck are going to find their way into the side of Carnage Gaming, but that leaves open both pocket healers, and Genos is going to be the first pick here.
Yeah, Genos taken up, I think. Smart by them. You got to get one of them, because if you give them both up, again, it's going to be very difficult. I like Genos more on this map, personally, because you can play those really aggressive dive tanks, and Genos will live through them a little bit better, but Carnage, they know what they have to take. They're going to get that Corvus. That to have and pair it with the Maeve, so a little bit of lifesteal added up there will help the Maeve duel a little bit here on the side, I think. Smart pairing for the start of Fish Market in particular. Midnight, a great ultimate to engage on a map that has so much space you can cover with it.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Maeve is going to be a huge, is going to be definitely one of the key factors to look out here, especially when you have Rom on the other side and the Leon as well. You have a situation where not only do you have a strong backliner, but you can be dove pretty hard, especially if you are on the side of Carnage Gaming. So you have to be a little bit more careful with how you're taking some of these fights, especially into huge tankier targets like Rom, and he's also boosted by Luminary. Same thing for the DPS and other tanks. They might try and lock in on the side of Ignite Gaming, but so far Carnage haven't really locked in another DPS, and they locked another DPS and their frontliner. Excuse me. It seems like they're going to go for the Inara Shaolin. That's how Carnage Gaming are going to have their third and fourth pick respectively.
I think the Shah is smart. I like the Shah here. I mean, we saw how good it was last map. It can be good this map, even if it did kind of get overshadowed by that Kinessa. But I don't know how I feel about Inara. on this map, I would say. I think Fish Market, yes, she can make space. Yes, she can stand on the point. But if Ignite just go triple DPS with this ROM, they're just going to bully her off. I mean, she won't be able to last. No tank can last in the fishbowl point that is so completely surrounded. That is the Fish Market mid. But we'll see what they want to go. Triple poke could even work here, something that we were seeing yesterday from Parallax a lot. But they'll pick up Barrack instead. He'll be able to trade damage into that Inara. If it's paired with the Leon, it can bully the Inara off. Normally, again, Inara will win that trade, but backed with those backlines when there's literally no cover for any of the point tanks on this map at all, could lean his way, assuming there's enough pressure on the sides.
Let's see who they lock in last here on the side of Ignite Gaming, as Zen is going to be the option here. Carnage are going to respond with the Cassie. And once again, this is triple DPS, but you have double backliner, and you have the Maeve as well. So you have good enough dive composition for this to be relevant. I would definitely say that I'm not too sure, honestly. Both of these teams could go either way, but I think that Luminary buff might be huge, especially in trying to combat some of these heavy-hitting backliners.
Yeah, I think I would agree. Luminary going to help those duels get one, but I think the fact that they have triple backline makes up for that damage change, right? The tanks output a decent amount of damage, but not a ton. You know, their boost from the Luminary is not going to be as significant here on Fish Market, I think. And the extra damage being output by a third DPS can make up for it. You know, maybe that fight might just end up looking just like that.
Maybe it will, but once we are able to actually head into game here, we will see how both of these teams will play against one another. As Corvus really seems to be, I think, the key component here. Can Carnage live long enough to be able to fight back and forth between Ignite Gaming? Because it seems like they have this hard dive. Corvus may not even be able to heal. They've put out spread out the heals well enough for this to maybe even be a factor. So only time will be able to tell against both of these teams. Doesn't seem like anything too different in terms of talents, though.
I mean, we do have big game, which makes sense, I think, into the ROM. It will be a little bit less effective into the Xin. So maybe that trade now with Xin running Yomi might end up more in favor of Deja Vu. But, I mean, Cassie is still Cassie. Blast Shot still does a good amount of damage. We'll see that, I think, perfectly fine there. Take a look at this build as they go in. So dash healing, just playing off of that sustain that got nerfed, but still enough to survive, potentially, unless that cripple comes in from that Shaolin.
Let's see how everything starts off first in this fight here. Seems like everyone's trying to bide their time. Seems like Penny has found a few shots in the scooter, but it doesn't seem like much for the most part. Everyone else is going to try to see what they can find still, as the damage is being spread out among different members of different teams. 21% is all Carnage have to show for it right now. So of course, Corvus is really spreading out the heals in a very timely manner. No one on Ignite can really even close the gap at all, as Penny is going to be the first one that goes down.
Yeah, Barrack just completely bullied off of the point by Inara, backed with the healing because the DPS were completely distracted on the other lanes, and now Deja Vu might have to be the one that goes for the point, but he's going to duel this instead. They have some time. 84, 87 is around where you want to go, and juking the sand trap is actually really important. Not crippled. He should be able to get this and trigger overtime for Ignite, but he trades his life for it. He didn't have the cooldowns.
Rom has to be the next one that touches now, if anything, or at least Penny will. Beautiful wall, but not enough to stop it fully, causing that overtime. Now they're going to push it and be more aggressive into Orange Scheme. Big game going to be a big factor here, as that's big damage into an even bigger death on the side of Ignite Gaming. They're missing another person, and that's Ares with a nice double kill as well in the Maeve, but he's going to get sniped out the sky by.
Yeah, rough start there for Ignite, I think. They had a decent positioning, but just having DPS in every lane made it very hard to push through, and the ROM wasn't willing to commit. ROM doesn't commit, they're not distracted. They can all shoot Barrack, and he literally just goes to point and gets deleted twice in a row. Right now, Ignite, they're trying to retake this space, and they need to, but look at this, the healing just not there right now. And Ares smells blood, but he wants to go for the healthy ROM instead and lets Deja Vu live.
Comes the run. The CV gives a little bit of DR. They do take care of the Shaolin, though. Govern is out of the mix, as Kubi's is going to be dove upon by two members. Even with the guillotine, they aren't able to kill the Inara, just barely surviving. And at the same time, having that counter being used means that they're going to stay alive for even longer, as the Tropic Breach try and lock down Penny, but that's not going to be the case here. Everyone's just going to try and make their way out. Rachao is going to find a good shot to the back, and that's going to be all they wrote for Barrett.
Yeah, and look at all these DPS on the side of Ignite, on the side of Carnage, excuse me, just pushing down in main. Everyone just getting shredded. They do get Scooter, which is big. But Scooter will be back, I think, in time. It's so hard to push around this corner. Carnage can just stall their push now, but they want to keep this snowball going because they can catch Ornstein. The Cataclysm doesn't even get a chance to come out.
Well, it doesn't, thanks to a good cripple arrow from Govern. Ornstein's not going to go anywhere except for him back to spawn. It's now Deja Vu. So I was trying to see if he can make his way around with Penny to see if they can hold that angle even better. Maeve trying to dive to the back line is met with opposition from Zen. Chow is once again on the side, firing crossbow bolts, seeing what damage he can plug into different people. As the first person to go down is going to be Deja Vu. Rom runs right on in to see if they can try and fight back against the Maeve. Doesn't seem like it's going to find much here. Scooby's just trying to find the damage too onto the Maeve, but that's all she wrote for right now. That round's already over, 2-0 in favor of Carnage Gaming.
Yeah, just a quick one from them. I think Carnage just are isolating and picking off the targets that they need to one by one. I think smart by them winning the fights that are the most important. They're ignoring the point. They're letting Scooter soak a lot of damage on there, but not so much damage that it matters with Barrack below the ROM right now, who I thought was getting bullied out pretty hard on the other side. I think Ignite, they have to get more aggressive. They have to make space, because otherwise I think they lose the point war. They just have to find a way to get their ROM into one of these back lines and find a kill. But Cassie has big game. Shaolin has Sand Trap. There's so many ways to stop the ROM from doing what he wants that I don't know where they can find that space.
Let's see if they can at least try to fight back in a timely manner. If they even can contest them at all this go around, because it seems like they definitely were struggling for the most part.
They're making it work.
Kubi's and Ornstein are trying to make it work. They are. Ornstein diving to the back line, running through the way that he can, but already Anara backed off a point. Did he get moved off? He did not, but that is a big game passive applied to him as they are locked in battle on the right-hand side. Has to jump off, doesn't want to get staggered. He's going to get killed anyway. Already with Ignite Gaming. They aren't going to be able to find much here. There's plenty of damage just plugged into Deja Vu, and that's a good pick. 33% for Carnage, as 4 ultimates are readily available on the side of Red Team.
Look at this, an aggressive Heat Haze right now from Gervin, pretty far forward. Shaolin also, I think, with that kill on that Zin, I think, showing its flexibility and how important it is right now. But will fall. Penny chips away with the shotgun and gets it. They might actually be able to make it in, but Ornstein has to end his dash early, and it's all on Penny to touch, but Deja Vu does it instead.
Yeah, Deja Vu is going to be the one to touch, but you already have Entropic Breach. There it is. Cataclysm to see if they can try even make a better leap and bound towards the objective. They are able to finally gain more percentage on the point for them. They not only find one, but they find 2 good. I was going to say good wall, but I realized the Anar was on their team. That actually trapped Rachel. He couldn't get out of that situation. He goes down. Now Anar just dies on point to contest, but with comeback mechanic, they can't make it anywhere close to point.
Yeah, the cripple being used on Ornstein made it so the Zin was able to get in kind of uncontested. Now Deja Vu will continue his aggression over here on the side. Might be caught out actually, but the world perfectly makes him avoid. And this forward zone by Ignite, I think, so important for keeping this area held. You really have to keep them locked down if you don't want to just completely fall apart when they come around the corner. They have such a big range advantage with their triple DPS. They have to stop them from taking that space at all.
It seems like there's plenty of time left on the clock for Ignite Gaming to roll this one right on through. The Carnage are putting up a very good opposition here. Ares moving around on the side, knows where Zen is, but not going to be able to find much, as a lot of damage from their DPS is going to make sure that he can't peek around that corner for at least a little while. Damage into Genos is huge, and they know where they want to go into. They aren't going to be able to find it. Gets Void Grip out of the pounce, but is going to be able to reset and find that final pounce directly onto the Genos. They're going to trade it out 1 for 1 though, as Zen is going to find that pick onto Ares, but at the same time, Govern is going to find another one. Ornstein is there too. Trades one after the next, but even still, Ignite are holding on to this objective very fervently. They might even be able to kill this Inara too, but a beautiful wall is going to keep them alive.
I mean, Inara just soaks so much damage. The fact that she got out of that is kind of unreal. The Scooter still holding this cart with an aggressive push on the side. Looks like by Ornstein taking a lot, getting forced out by that big game, doing so much damage to them. Forced out the cart as well, and Enlightenment spam just for spam, but actually they find the follow-up onto Gervin as well.
So them finding that pick is going to be huge, especially since they're still rolling the cart. This is their opportunity. This is what they felt like was a good time for them to try. See if they can move in. Entropic Breach used directly onto the objective. Can they make it out? Ornstein is trying to find the damage he can directly into Scooter. So trying to consider their options here, starting to run right on through. Wall goes up to stop that run, but Rom only runs away, as he's not going to engage on this one. Let his teammates do all the hard work for right now, as he heals himself back up with Govern finding that pick on Deja Vu. That means Ornstein is going to go down next, and the rest of Ignite have to retreat away from Carnage Gaming.
The Shaolin really showing its value. He's just finding all of these kills to try to go away. Almost actually the cripple, even just the AoE cripple almost confirming the kill onto QBs, but they'll have to disengage from that right now. With decent space taken by Carnage. Only 10 seconds remaining. Someone's going to have to sneak past them, I think, for them to get this car contested. And it sounds like Ornstein might be trying to do that on this ROM. He does make it in front of them, but he's going to soak a lot. Has to line of sight the cart and actually doesn't get it. He plays on the corner too hard.
Goodness.
You need to have line of sight for more than a tiny little second. The cart has to realize you're there, and he just didn't give it time to realize.
He thought he had stepped on the cart, but that's just how the cookie crumbles here, my friends, as we found ourselves at a 3-1 on Fish Market with Carnage Gaming still in the lead. Man, oh man, you hate to see that because it wasn't as if he wasn't trying to contest. He thought he was on there. He thought he had stepped effectively, but that wasn't what they were planning on doing. So it's just an overall bad look for them right now, but they still have comeback mechanics, so they can still fight for the objective effectively and make something work.
I mean, he LOS'd around the corner one more time, and that was the biggest mistake, I think. Just trying to back up. He kind of had to accept his death there, but if you accept your death, you're kind of just saying it's over, right? You're accepting that the push won't happen because you're not going to camp on Fish Market unless everyone is there. Ignite with a similar start to the mid, but less aggression now, actually. They're just forcing Scooter off, but he'll just back up, re-heal, and that through time and space to follow up doesn't connect.
Cripple arrow almost instantly as soon as they see Rom put one of those back legs back. He's gonna actually miss this Cataclysm on anyone, and they actually hit the invisible Charlotte, not the invisible Charlotte, they actually hit the Charlotte almost instantly, diving into the back line as well. 70% for Ignite Gaming, and I actually am going to take that back. He was actually invisible because I just thought about it, and also Krez, I just heard him say it as well. He definitely was invisible. He actually used the Enlightenment, took a guess as to where Shaolin could have been, and they're going to find that pick. Comeback mechanic being a factor here means they're going to capture this point and make it 2-3.
I think that sand trap hour missing actually really crucial to this, and Carnage now trying to come back out from their spawn with the tanks both forward from Ignite Gaming. We'll see how forward they want to go. Scooter actually forces out Deja Vu, so this right side free for them, and they want this midnight because they want to take even more space. Aries is so deep in the backline, but he's surrounded by everybody.
Yeah, already finds one. Richao is going to find Deja Vu. As now Ignite on the retreat here. As Carnage tries to see if they can make their way in the spawn. Aries is going to get picked up again as Kubies finds himself the Enlightenment kill. It's going to be a great look for this team as they were once again on the retreat. I feel like I've said that so many times. They were on the retreat multiple times, even on Frog Isle, but someone pushes up, someone gets picked, and they're already back on cart.
And now they're going to be able to keep moving forward. Actually, wait, who is contesting right now on this objective? Scooter actually buying so much time. Look at this. I mean, he's getting shot now from the side, but able to just by a ton give them all their respawns to come back forward, with Gervin managing to kill Ornstein in that time. So now it just becomes a 4v4, and the respawns are so much closer for Carnage Gaming. Space being taken is great as well, too. Corvus really doing a great job of keeping them all healed up. That sand trap, though, whiffing into the counter. And then Penny taking a lot of... just getting bullied up front by these DPS. They're going to end up back in a 5v5 even after a pretty solid advantage.
A minute is still remaining. As now Inara has made her way back and spawned in just enough time to contest that payload. Because everyone else wants to move around on the right. Ares all the way in the back, almost like a carousel. His positions are switching. But at the same time, Ares can't really find much right now as they're actually backing off to kill him. But he's buying so much time for his team right now to push up and to flank. Look at where he's going. He even made it all the way back. He ring around the rosy them. There was nothing they could really do.
Yeah, he just manages to kite away. They miss the attempted pick onto Penny with the wall. But they might actually be able to find Kubies. No, they're all just getting low and getting bullied out. Not having that Burstio from the Corvus hurts, but in these poke trades, the Genos should have the advantage. And they have the card time. Gervin almost actually giving up his life for it too, but now the space being taken by Ignite. They didn't have anyone on the left, and Deja Vu's going to abuse that.
10 seconds still remaining. So we have Contest being a factor here. Entropic Breach goes out and is utilized to stall anyone that might be on the card, but it doesn't seem like any of them really are. Ornstein is going to get taken out. Same thing for Ares, Crimson. They fall suit soon after that. This is a great look for Ignite Gaming. What seemed to be a very bad fight, very poor engagement and chase from Ares, turns out to be very great for them towards the end, because now you have a 3-3 tie.
Yeah, I think Ares being in the back line hurt them because he did trade for the tank, which could have been solid, but they lost some people because I think not having Ares' damage up front. I mentioned how are they going to make up for not having that damage boost that Ignite have? Well, by just having more DPS. But if Ares is in the back line, they don't have that effective amount of DPS. I think they needed Varric with the Ares with them, just to try to trade into them. They just didn't have the luxury of letting that happen, so tough for them. I think it was a decent decision, but it had to happen a little bit earlier, and they know what's happening. How many times has he tried to do that in a row, and now he's getting forced to pull out that Haven 3 just because of how much damage Kubi's is putting into him. A lot of ult strong on both sides, but Ignite actually with a bigger repertoire for this final mid.
Already it seems like there's a storm rumbling outside my place, but even still, with that being the case, it seems like there's a storm on the battlefield, if anything. 12% for Ignite Gaming as they're flanking all the way around into the back line. Ares is there. How much more will they be able to find here as they find plenty of damage into one of them, but the Midnight is the tail end of this one as they try and move on to point. They find one, they find two, they find three. Ares with the double kill is going to be enough as Carnage now puts you on the other foot. They want to be the aggressors here against this opposing team as Ignite Gaming going to have to try and find some sort of way in. Rom has to find an opening as he's going to try and run, but it seems like he's taking the long way around, even stops it just to get into a better position for his team. Doesn't seem like there's really going to be much of anything here as Penny is trying to put damage into the Inara. There are plenty of people with sight lines on Inara, but it's the flank on the right that's going to be huge. Dome shield on the side, and they're going to be able to kill Deja Vu immediately as he uses the spite. Enlightenment goes out, but it's going to be whipped as everything is seeming to go awry for Ignite Gaming towards the tail end of this. They've been netting themselves percentages, but they had to use a Dome Shield at the very end of that with 87% available to Ignite Gaming so far. Not too good of a look as the seismic crash is what's going to counter things out. A huge cataclysm, but he's still going to go down. Look at the health pools on Carnage Gaming right now as they have to try and find a way to fight back. Overtime is a factor. They found one, will they find the other? They can't. Ignite Gaming are going to sweep this one from under the rug of Carnage.
That was razor's edge. That was so close near the very end. If Ornstein doesn't get that massive cataclysm, that game's Carnage's. I feel he stunned both of the back lines. He did 1,000 damage to both of them. Forces the seismic crash out. Resources get spent. Neither of the DPSs can go touch. The flanks come in to clean up. Just perfect by that Rom at the end, literally saving that game. That could have gone so much worse if he didn't pull that play off.
Yeah. It's always great to be able to see the Cataclysm provide a lot of sort of really a lot of pressure onto a lot of these different targets, because we see it used a lot. Obviously, cool. You have the wall that goes up, or the dome shield, or whatever the case may be. If you counterpick that Rom, he's going to break all of those instantly, right? But it's good to be able to see very well-placed Cataclysms that trade everything for his team, and I think that's absolutely great, honestly.
Look at these stats. The Kubis actually did so much with that Genos boost, 132,000 damage, less than Rochelle though. But that is a Cassie running big game into a ROM, so no surprises there, I think. But surprisingly, Ares right behind, actually above Gervin. Gervin mostly used for the utility, it seems, that game with that. I think that sand trap, a lot of cripple value onto the Xin, onto the ROM. Onto the Barrack. I mean, that sand trap gets value into every single player on the other team. Really close game that Carnage could have won, but Ignite, I was talking about the clutch factor before this game started, and they seem to be the ones that had it today.
141,000 for Chao as well. I mean, he was bringing out those big damage numbers, but also at the same time, Ornstein was his primary focus. His big game was to try and melt those tanks, and a lot of the time that's who he was shooting into, and it paid off as the slash line is sort of there, off 1 to make it an even KD, but instead goes negative 5, 6, and 16. 22 assists for Crimson. Everyone seems to have been doing fine on the side of Carnage since it went to 3-3. It was the last point fight. It's what you would expect to see from compositions like this that take it to the very last game. But at the same time, Ignite have found their sort of mojo. They found their composition. They like this sort of sustainability. And Barrack is somebody that we've seen a lot being drafted in Brazil. So maybe they might try and draft him again. Maybe not.
Maybe. It's possible. It did win the game. I don't think it was because he was there. I thought Scooter bullied him off. Other than when Dome Shield was there, Scooter was bullying him off the point pretty hard. But I mean, at the end of the day, it ended up working out. He bought time on the objective. I mentioned how if the sides were taken, then it wouldn't really matter what point tank they had as long as they had that contest having. And I gotta say, now that I saw those KDs, I'm kind of surprised Kubi's was only 9-5 at the end of that game.
Yeah, I'm surprised
Damage wise, I thought he was dominating. I felt like he should have been the one getting all the kills, but it ended up being pretty evenly split between him, Deja Vu, and Ornstein. So take a look at what the next map will be here. Carnage's pick. We are past the first two, so it is loser's pick. And Carnage, hey, well, I said there was one normal map in the pool, and after a loss, that's where Carnage want to take us, because we're going to Brightmarsh.
Brightmarsh, or what was the French version of that?
Mangrove.
Mangrove is where we're going to be heading to in this Brazilian bracket here. And like you said, one normal map, and I can't imagine any other map doing it better than Brightmarsh, honestly. I mean, we've seen a lot of these aggressive sort of compositions, these beautiful dive characters that come out like Ruckus, like Rom, that really try and just tear it up in the back line, try and counter a lot of those hard sit back and sort of fire playstyle sort of DPSs. And I wonder if we're going to see that here. I wonder if Carnage or Ignite are going to try and put more prioritization on getting rid of these tanks and getting rid of some of these harder dive comps instead of just banning out the immediate pocket healers, which it seems like Buck. So that's already a sort of decent start.
Buck goes out right away, but Ignite now sitting pretty. I think they're going to ban that Ashe instead. So get rid of that dive potential that I think is just good in every region. I think Ashe is one of those few standards across the board for everybody, other than some teams in NA are kind of playing that con instead. I think Prolific specifically lean that way, but not Brazil. They're going to get rid of that. And Vivian also following. Vivian super strong on this map, always going to be a good pickup, I think, for map control in general. And Ignite, they target Rochelle, actually, with both of these bans, Ashe and Atlas. Get rid of them both. Don't give Rochelle comfort picks. This does let Carnage, though, go back to that triple DPS that almost just won them that last game.
Yeah, Buck, Vivian, Ashe, Atlas. They still got Ruckus. You still got Corvus. You have the usual suspects in terms of dive composition. You get rid of one of them, but you let the other ones live. And both Genos and Corvus are open as well. But once again, Corvus first pick and Droxus Cassie on the right-hand side here for Ignite Gaming.
I think that's smart. I mean, get the Andro for Deja Vu, get the Cassie just because she's a general flexible pick. I mean, Cassie's going to perform pretty much wherever you put her. I don't think there's really a counter Cassie composition most of the time. Unless it's a bad Cassie, you're never going to be like, wow, we really outdrafted that Cassie pick. Just a good thing to have if you want to get her early, to have those less flexible, I think, thing here. But Inara and Xin will be the pickups for Carnage. Point tank, good flanker, I think also flexible draft for them. Corvus and Xin also pair together very well. So I gotta say, I think I like both drafts and how they've started so far, with looks like Genos being the pickup for Ignite. I think to the surprise of no one, you get your healer around this time, so you can have that little bit of flexibility for the final pick. And they'll pick up Barrack as well for some extra damage on the objective, a little bit less sustain, but they're hoping that the Cassian and Droxus can make up for that by just overwhelming them with damage.
Yeah, they lock in the Barrack once again. I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So go ahead and pick that point tank once again. He who shall not be named, if anything. And Corvus, Inara, Xin on the side of Carnage Gaming. It's going to be prevalent here. For the most part, it seems like. I could imagine that towards the tail end of things, that it seems like there is plenty of time to be able to lock in a potential DPS, which like Leon, or you might even try and go for the Bomb King. Interesting. Okay, that's interesting. A character that we haven't seen in quite a bit. Typically, a lot of people are straying away from the blasters nowadays, but even still, Bomb King seems to be a very, very good choice for them.
Yeah, BK will be, I think, a smart pick. Makes sense for them. And Ignite actually end up with the ROM, so they want the same tank composition as last time. And after Ornstein did what he did at the end of the game, I'd be picking that ROM again too. But Xin could potentially run the guillotine, make his life tough. Yes, ROM can live through it with enough soul armor, but it's not guaranteed. He can still get picked off depending on how low on that he is, and it can be hard to stay as healthy as he wants to against a Leon and a Bomb King being piloted by Carnage Gaming. That chain reaction can even get value here, honestly, against that ROM if it comes down to it.
I 100% agree with you. And I think that ROM might have a bit of an issue more so dealing with, once again, the Xin and BK more than the Leon. I think the Leon's going to try and stay on top of this Androxus or this Cassie, maybe even put a little damage here and there in Barrack. But in the long run, I definitely think it's going to be a little bit harder for them to get going what they had working for them last time on Fish Market. Maps
it's a very different
wide.
map.
Yeah, exactly. That right. Exactly. Map's not as wide. You'll be running into people a lot more frequently. You have to hold these angles as opposed to really just sort of playing passively. If you're going to play that aggro sort of play style, like what we've seen Ornstein do, which is why he's playing ROM, then you have to be in their face. You have to be ready, and you
For
have to have
sure.
the follow up from your team. Because especially on this map, you're going to get burnt down extremely quickly if you aren't ready for the consequences.
Yeah, they're going to have to be moving with him. The Rom and the Andra are going to have to be moving together
Together,
significantly the most of the map, and we'll head into Brightmarsh. Take a look at the builds, the legendaries, all sorts of things that we know you guys want to see. And I was right, Guillotine being picked up by Ares on that Xin. I think it's going to be very effective at going through those tanks potentially there, and everything else standard. But we also see Chain Reaction, which is going to be good into the tanks, going to be good specifically into the Rom Barrack. Smaller hitbox, a little bit tougher to stack those bombs up consistently against him, but also because of his low health pool, you can also probably detonate it a little bit early and still get value out of it. It looks like Ornstein actually going towards the reset build for the ROM. No distance though, all shattered essence and that, so no distance. He's gonna have to get those resets just a little bit quicker, even with that Chronos being picked up.
Okay, well, already Ares on the side of Carnage Gaming is moving in. See if we can get that heavy swing going for him, if anything. And he seems to be able to plug a lot of damage into ROM for now. Forces out the run, uses the counter. He's actually going to run right back into their line of sight as Ares decides to push in on this one. I don't know if I quite agree with that one, as no one's been on the point so far. Everyone's been putting a lot of focus around these fights on the side. Here we go. ROM running in right once again as he manages to charge right on through. They get that first blood. Ignite Gaming find their very first kill during this set. That's going to be a great look for Carnage.
I mean, Ares has great positioning right now, and 175 from that 25% lifesteal he's getting from the grand design actually helping him sustain so much. Look at this engagement, though, from Ornstein. Actually, well, I thought it was an engagement. He's just running around to fight Ares again and give him a free place to recharge. Deja Vu, a little bit too aggressive. Rachel finds him. Tries to hit a guillotine, but actually it's kited away by Ornstein.
Already, Ornstein has to reconsider his aggression here as he uses the billows to get out of the void grip just to make sure he can live a little bit longer. See if he can put a damper on Ornstein's perspective here as they try and fight back and forth once again. Playing around on the right side with 54% to 57 as Rom runs right on in. Again, he manages to run right over Rachel. That's going to be awful for him, as since he can try and get anything on Koopies, and he does find one, but that's going to be thanks to Scooter, not thanks to Rachel, as he has that Grumpy Bomb out. All the way in the back line is Ornstein, as the Tropic Breach is used on point. Here we go, the Cataclysm, but the Earthen Guard is going to keep Kanara alive for plenty more time. Guillotine is going to smite that Ornstein down to size.
Oh, Ares almost ran right into it. I almost freaked out. Imagine if that ego play would have worked by XZeeds, but Ares really just staying so aggressive. I'm going to take a look at the damage charts. He is so high above everybody else, sustaining a lot with that, and Cursed Arm coming out from the other side. Just now, becoming available, reset, give him that movement, but a King Bomb's coming in to keep up this pressure. Oh, that's not a good idea, Penny.
Oh, here we go, right into the Dome Shield, and he's going to get dealt with almost instantly. They use the Dome Shield, hold their ground. They're going to come out on top of this engagement. Can't say the same for Koopies in the back. Ares has made, has really made a name for himself in these backline. He is living there rent-free, if anything. Pennies has to be careful here. He's going to get picked off, too. That's a great look for Carnage Gaming off the back of Ares, too. Making sure they actually were able to get those kills and make sure they had that sustainability on their side for that just has naturally in his kit, even without the healing.
This is just a good combination with Corvus. I mean, having the Leon plus the Xin, they both pair so well. Leon because all of her abilities will also lifesteal her because they all count as weapon attacks. And Xin just because he cleanses caught so much, he's getting max value out of these shots, especially since half of them connect around corners with their massive hitboxes. So I think just a great pairing here with this Corvus so far, but it could fall off as the game goes on. Carnage don't want to let it get to that point. A Scooter's getting so aggressive here on the window side.
Already, so the Void Grip goes out into one of their individual members on the team of Carnage Gaming, but Govern already with 2 kills. It's going to be a great look here. So now Androxus tries to see if he can find any damage he can into those teammates. As Kubi's eating a lot from Govern, already trying to flank around, see if he can peel for his team, but the minute that he does, Rachel pops that Q ability, pops the presence, and make sure he snipes out Deja Vu. That's going to be huge, especially like the seismic crash that comes out directly on the Penny and Tropic Breach directly on point. Now people have to scramble to get there. Guillotine and Spite is going to be used on Ornstein. That's going to be enough areas for the double Govern with 1 and 2 points for Carnage Gaming in the back pocket.
Yeah, I think great start for Carnage Gaming. I mean, you can't be unhappy with that. They do spend the guillotine there in the end, but it's guillotine. He has morale boost too. He's going to have it back fast enough more than anything. Great aggression there, also top damaging for his team, but he is also guillotining Rom, so that does stack the deck a little bit in his favor here. I think the tanks on the side of Ignite might need to just take that space away from him, but they can't really do it with all that lifesteal and sustain that he has. Interesting to see also Rejuvenate getting rushed by Scooter, but it gives an advantage on the point, right? If you're just out-sustaining, but at the very least didn't start with it. Now they have the double Wrecker to be able to burn through that side, and we'll cut. See what else we can watch here with Gervin. Not having the King Bomb again just yet, but Bully, look at this. Scooter, though, abandons the point and dives the back and completely traps in Kubi's.
There we go. Kubi's is going to be the target here, and main focus as Rom tries to run in to see if he can heal for his teammate. Doesn't seem like that's going to be enough here as Kubi's goes down. You have a situation where they're going to try and stand on point as best as they can for Carnage Gaming. And Nara is there absorbing a lot of that pressure. 15% to 19, the percentages are still readily close. And with comeback mechanic being a factor on Ignite's side, if they get a kill here, you can pretty much bet that it's going to be locked down, just like the Accursed Arm from all the way in the back. Ignite Gaming find themselves the kill thanks to Deja Vu, but Ares is going to even the odds and take care of Rom.
Moving to the apartments as well. This heavy swing can be lethal, but just not connecting. I've noticed this Megaton on Cassie has been brutal for him to play into. Just the inaccuracy's been hurting a lot. But Penny, Dome Shields immediately has to leave and then just gets insta'd by the King Bomb. Just didn't rotate out fast enough.
Ares, Govern, both find a kill apiece. 60% for Carnage Gaming as Rom bides his time. Ornstein has to find a way to get in somehow. Rachel plugging plenty of damage into their tank. He now has to run there, sees if he can get there. He's able to touch for the overtime. They do take out Deja Vu as that is happening, though. Cataclysm goes through, but once again, you're cataclysming into an Earthen Guarded Anara. She's not going to really feel much of that, and so they actually end up capturing the point. 3-0 so far for Carnage Gaming.
Rochelle just missing one crucial shot into Exceeds that would have gotten the kill. They do get to keep their marks for now, but for their sake, at least, Janos not a ton of burst healing. Aggression coming in for them on the side. Burned down is Ornstein. Ignite. They can hold this, but with the guillotine coming in, nope, they got the damage. They can't stop the defense from Ignite right now, and they could burst out with this kill from Kubi's.
They used a lot of abilities there just to make sure that they can defend that, though. A Cursed Arm is coming back up through time and space of the mist as well. They have the scalp, but of course we're saving that for a specific occasion. As the wall goes up, knocks back the barrack. And there's a lot of damage on the side of Raw. Manages to snipe him around the corner. Where you going, big guy? Ornstein is going to get taken out of this fight for a few more seconds, as now Ignite have to reconsider their positioning with 1 minute and 35 seconds still remaining. Carnage Gaming are sitting pretty right now with how this has been going so far.
That was a perfect grumpy into their team, but it was just a little bit too late because they had time to spread right now. And Scooter is just cleaning them up on this objective. 2 kills for him, Cassie and Genos both falling. They have some spawns, though. It's not like the cart's going to roll all the way in completely uncontested with both tanks being up and Cassie and Genos following soon after. Go to a top down, I think, once we get a little bit closer, but someone has to move to contest first. Here comes Penny, but already taking a bomb and some chip early. Has to use that shield, and now look, that's gone. What does Barrack have left? Not much. Dashes to the side. Where's the follow-up? They just don't have it as they eat the time and space. Time and space is just all he's going to take, is now Ornstein has to hold on in the best way that he can. Oh, it's so close.
Tossing out plenty of damage. It's super close right now, as there's so many health pools that are extremely low on the side of Ignite Gaming and Carnage Gaming. They have to take care of Rom. They have to find something. They find
Deja Vu's on.
Bomb, and everyone else is there. They're on the point now. They've managed to regain control of this entire situation. Rachel on the right side, seeing if he can take care of Deja Vu. Deja Vu's gone. Now Scooter trying to see if he can live. Wall goes up. Scout goes out. Dome Shield gets dropped down. Everyone else with Carnage Gaming are going to back up. They use a lot of their ults. They're just going to have to play the retake here, as they use so many ults just to defend on really a push they weren't even really committing to unless they found the damage to do so. Seems like Zen tries to move in. Ares gets picked off almost instantly. Tried to use the spike.
Ares going back to 2019, I guess, thinking that he's still damage immune during guillotine. You can't get away with that in front of everybody. I know Barrack's squishy, so he'll die fast, but you're squishier and you'll die faster, and no one can make it to the objective. Resources spent by Ignite, though, a lot kind of out of the picture. I would say the same thing for Carnage, though, after that guillotine also gets spent by them near the end. But they have the Seismic Crash. They have the Entropic Breach coming up soon. Also, Inara and Corvus haven't died yet, by the way.
Yes.
Undying across this game, whereas 7 deaths across the board for every other kind of standard non-support member of Ignite.
I mean, what more of an opportunity can you ask for than to have your tank and your support never die, right? I mean, it definitely says something about these two players alone, the fact that they're able to live in a lot of these fights that seem detrimental to their team. Carnage seem to be the ones that are on the back foot sometimes, and even still with their team getting wiped out, they still manage to live and retreat in a very, very fashionable manner. It's very, very great, and the healing is leaps and bounds above Genos right now, really having a lot of sustainability. It's almost like he's pocketing the Inara for most of the time. That's happening, honestly.
Probably why they haven't died yet.
Runs right on in, and if that's the case, he's going to find plenty of that DR. Ares is here if he manages to have the guillotine in time, but I don't think he will. They're just going to drop down, see if they can take him out of the fray. Ares manages to spin his way out for only a little bit longer. He's going to try and live, and Rachel from outside the window manages to actually get the snipe. Govern is going to come around too. They find that kill. That's going to be a huge look for how Carnage Gaming are going to proceed from this one on. My goodness, what a snipe from Carnage Gaming. Rachel, man, that was so well timed.
What an unreal play by them. We'll see what Ignite can do to break through here again. A Cursed Arm used early might catch Ares. We'll cut to the top down that Andrew was actually kind of already giving us with the time and space on point. Finds no one. Doesn't even force them off the objective, but they make it back in, and Ornstein tries to get in, but a perfect wall by Scooter. They got plenty of time on the side of Ignite.
And he's just biding his time, making sure they can make their way back on the point. But Guillotine, that was so smart. I love that. Ornstein in the back. He actually used the Cataclysm. He went all the way to the back line and got two Kubies. Manages to follow up as well. 96% to 42. Comeback mechanic being a factor here as we're getting 4% every single tick. Ignite Gaming, man. Wow. What a beautiful Cataclysm by Ornstein. Very well done.
It's like Ornstein only uses his ult when his team is about to lose, and it works every single time. Perfect. Find him near the end here, now trying to make space, but shouldn't last long against all these people, even with the backup from his Cassie. Kubies rotates over, but we'll say, nope, I am getting out of there. A lot of Megaton. Sends him flying away, but this King Bomb will help Carnage retake some space.
There we go. I guess they're even really just using it to see if they can zone. They managed to catch Barrick on the retreat, and they're going to plug a lot of damage into him, but no kills so far as Ares has made his way around the corner. He's going to try and do what he can, spins right on in, tries to stop the ROM, but it seems like for the most part he's going to be okay. The second health bar is not doing him much justice right now, as Zen is just trying to build far, and he managed to go for the Barrick instead. They just wanted to confirm on that pick, I believe. So they're going to take care of one, as the rest of them now have to back off. Carnage Gaming, already a very beautiful look for how they're proceeding so far. Grumpy Bomb goes out. That's even better. They take care of Scooter. And as this is rounding the corner here, it seems like Deja Vu's going to find another Ares with his double of his own, though. As he has to try and find a way to billow himself out. 1 minute 25 seconds to remaining. Govern on the retreat. Won't be able to find the kill. But Ignite Gaming are going to be able to find a repositioning. Never mind. Scratch that. Kubies making sure that, I guess I'm just a liar here, as he's going to go around and Kubies is going to find that very last hit. Burst damage is enough to take care of Govern.
And yeah, Kubi's looking great on this Cassie now. I think what was kind of quiet until this point, but waking up as this game gets a little bit further. Probably just because it's easier to find kills now that we're late game. Corvus maybe not as impactful. This Seismic Crash, though, does it go off? It does! But they can't follow up on anything from it.
Yeah, that's going to be even bigger for them, especially the fact that they even used the Seismic Crash and there was nothing to be gained from that. The fact she doesn't have that refunded to her, that's going to be huge on any sort of engagement they have. They even take out Rachel in the long run of things. As Ornstein has tried to find his way out, Ares finds one. What else will he find in this scenario as he billows? They're trying to make sure they can put a damper on him. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to find much. Cursed Arm immediately walls up just for the peel. It's going to be decent enough to make sure they can't do much of anything. Just going to opt to take that refund from the Accursed Arm, which is really smart. Yeah, I 100% agree. You can talk about that more if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, well, if we have a chance, I mean, a lot of Andros just forget they have reset now. They can cancel it now and save the rest, but Deja Vu says, will this Inara damage do anything? It'll probably just give Corvus ult charge, so I'm not going to take it. He holds off, doesn't spend it, and has more for the next fight here. As this next fight will break out now with a duel happening on the side and another fight happening on point.
Already seems like Ornstein is engaged with Ares on the side. Scooter finds one as Deja Vu is going to be able to be taken out of this fray. Ornstein is going to be able to live. Nobody was able to touch on point for the overtime. Was Penny just not there? Was Penny just... Did they not realize?
My guess is that they didn't want to give Scooter any more ult charge, which says to me they might focus him early. They might try to CC him early I mean, there's also Mother's Grace, so maybe I'm just wrong. I don't know. I'm thinking of any excuse, honestly, for that, but tough to think about refighting it. Penny might have had to use his ult, because Barrack really can only hold that long on an objective if he spends his ultimate as well. You're gonna be forced to use those resources, and they just wanted to hold on to it as desperately as they could with Ignite and Carnage. Carnage on the potential game point. If they win this mid, they go up to 2-1. Ignite will do anything in their power to stop that, even if it means saving some ultimates.
Here we go, Rachao making his way back in, pre-firing around the corner into apartments. 10% already available for Ignite Gaming. They're trying to cement themselves in this fight. Ares fighting damage directly into Deja Vu, but he's gonna miss most of those shots. If anything, already with the spite directly onto Ornstein, going over for the shadow with the counter at the perfect time. That was the anime thing I've seen today, almost instantly, just in the nick of time. They're going to be able to find the King Bomb as well. Penny is going to be the one that gets taken out of this fray, as now Deja Vu and the rest of Ignite have to retreat back to their spawns.
Perfect play, I think, there by Ares, baiting them in, disengaging. Deja Vu played it well, but Ares just has so much sustain paired with that Corvus and all that Caw cleansing that they have. Let's see who can touch. It looks like Penny actually kind of close. We'll go to a fly view again to see how this fight breaks out. Again, losing on the side because of that angle that Rachao takes. Ares dives in, finds that first one. They're going to collapse on Ornstein because they're not too worried about the point.
Not at all, and Tropic Breach actually gets dropped directly. Seismic Crash, beautiful one, if I may add, directly to lock down that back line. Goes for the Enlightenment Snipe. Not going to find it, but they are going to find themselves plenty of low health pools. Already the spite directly on the Cassie. Kubi's has no say in this matter, as Andrew manages to dash directly on the point. Ares is going to find himself a triple kill, if anything, a reset of the overtime, but that's all she wrote for this map. Brightmarsh is said and done because Carnage have found themselves the second point.
There was no reset on the reversal. There was no reset on the overtime because no one else was contesting the point, because Crimson just left, as he should have. Again, smart play. He didn't need to stay there and die for it. But he also missed the reset on the reversal. Thought Ares was going to drop down a little bit faster. Goes a little bit under his feet. If he got the reset on the nether step, maybe he can go back in and touch it again, but it doesn't matter at that point. So kind of close that he probably wouldn't have. He got to the reset, right? Dies. His team doesn't make it back. It doesn't matter anyway because Carnage won that fight so dominantly. I think MVP for that game from me. I mean, I thought Ares did a good job living on the side, but the one who was really enabling him when they adapted to him was Rachao on this Leon. Not just because of the window snipe with that enlightenment, but just him connecting everything on anyone who's trying to pressure him. Deja Vu adapts, he fights Ares, and Rachao punishes him for it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of those fights, even though Ornstein had some of those beautiful ultimates in the backline, man, I mean, top tier cataclysms, you still can't really find much in the way of really anything else when you're the one that's not only carrying some of these fights, especially with your ultimates, especially if your team was about to lose some of those points. It's not going to be able to help you out the best because of the fact that they're just all over you. Every time Ornstein was in the back, whenever he didn't cataclysm, even when he did, he was either countered like we saw towards the tail end of that, or he was just burnt immediately by Govern and BK. And man, Rachao, Ares, Govern, that damage is unreal right now on all three of them.
163 damage between Ares and Rachao up there at the top, so really close there. Gervin, I think, also doing some good damage, but he was more relegated to burning tanks, didn't really fight the DPS quite as much because of just the nature of Bomb King with chain reaction. You're mostly fighting that one lane instead of the other, so Rachao and Ares dealt with everything else there. Healing also, I think, heavily in favor of Crimson, about more than 50,000 more, but that's what you expect from Corvus, and that doesn't even take into account any of the lifesteal that Ares was also getting, combined with Rachao from that. KDA's pulling up here. Ornstein 5 and 13. Tough game for him, but that's kind of what you expect to see from a ROM, especially into a chain reaction Bomb King, and a guillotine's in.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get burnt down almost instantly, so seeing that 5 and 13 is not anything too surprising to me either. I mean, having the Rezo, making sure you have Chronos 2, Cauterize 3, you have the tools it is that you need. You just run in there now and make sure you make their life a living hell as much as possible, right? Because that's what these off tanks do. It's the same thing for Ruckus. Back when Ruckus was super popular in the PPO last year, you have a situation where, oh wait, hold on, I was going to finish that thought, but Crimson has 38 assists
and 1 death, by the way, across that 4-2
that entire game
against a ROM and a Andro in a meta where the reason people don't pick Corvus, when the teams that don't pick Corvus think he's just so weak to dive. Yes. But they had ROM Andro. That, I think, just great Corvus play by Crimson. Love to see people kind of figuring him out as he's out a little bit longer, and why we're probably seeing him in the ban column a little bit more often.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a situation like that being posed to you where your support only dies once and 38 assists, and you have a chance where they're just alive most of that game, not really having anyone dive into the back line on them, which is ironic because, like you said, they had Androxus, they had Rom, they have dive characters. They just couldn't put a stop to him, evidently, and that's absolutely huge. That's the type of performance you want to see out of your support, honestly.
For sure.
And Bazaar is the map we're actually going to be heading to. Man, it's been a while. I feel like everybody's been banning that map, so it's good to see this map, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's why people ban it, because to them it's similar to Fish Market, but I think, in my opinion, there's at least enough differences to warrant why you would pick it over Fish instead, just with all the cover on point. The wide point also, so it's a little bit better for tanks while still offering the same wide open angles for those DPS to take as well. Get us into those picks and bans when my stream deck works. Hopefully, okay, making sure it didn't mute me, because sometimes it just does that. It also unmutes me randomly. Very fun there, but we'll see this Ignite Gaming's pick here. This is where they want to go in more of a desperate situation, right? Things are dire for them. If they don't win this map, they are out of this set.
Yeah, and I think that's what's interesting here is the fact of how are they going to rectify this. I mean, they had the ROM, sure. Ornstein was being able to find a lot of those hard engages. He was able to use the Cataclysm effectively. Do they feel like that's enough to make sure that that's worthy of a ban? I mean, I'm not too sure. Clearly, Ignite feel like they want to get rid of the Ashe first. Carnage feel like they want to ban here. Vivian, that makes sense. I mean, I'm not too surprised to see that.
Vivian is a little bit easier to play around on this map, but they go for it anyway with Victor still available. It could be something that Ignite want to pick up, but with the pocket supports up, I don't know if I would. I think you could still go that lane, but Ignite, they get rid of they pick the Xin for themselves, actually. So they take it away from Carnage. It clearly did. I mean, it did so much last game. Why not, right? And this is also a good map for him, I think, in my opinion. So solid start to this draft for Ignite, but they do give up that Corvus, and it could even be a Genos with it. Yeah, on this map if they feel that way. But Corvus and Maeve, I think this is exactly how the Fish Market draft started for Carnage. So similar map, similar way they want to draft.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so far, Zen, Corvus, a great look to how you want to start things off. Carnage Gaming having that sustainability for themselves, because Corvus is going to be put onto their team. Maeve is what Carnage are going to have as well. Follow that up with an Inara Cassie on the side of Ignite, and you've got some good sustainability. It seems like for the most part that they might even try and plan for the Genos here. It seems like we've seen this before. Corvus, Maeve, Strix, Rom on the side of Carnage Gaming. So they have a very strong draft so far. That's Strix. If it goes uncontested, that can be very dangerous for Ignite.
Oh yeah, for sure. They do have the Xin to bully into it as of right now, but he won't be paired with another flanker, actually. Leon taken by Ignite instead, so they're going to have to just win those long-range duels into him, and that might be difficult, honestly, with the Maeve and the Rom kind of breathing down their necks from the Cassian and Leon, and they fill it in with a Damba. So heals for the team, not going to need line of sight for it, minus the Gourd, of course. Genos not being picked up here, and it could actually end the draft for Carnage and say, all right, Ares, can you own everything for us, please? Thank you very much. Would be an interesting way to do it. But it looks like they actually do the Victor instead. Pairs with the Corvus Lifesteal, Grand Design, and the Predator card do stack with diminishing returns, though. It's not that crazy, I promise you. And so Victor will have a really, really hard to dive if that Xin gets in. He can also just farm life off of that Inara.
I mean, well, with all that being said, I mean, do you have a particular favorite composition on either of these teams? I mean, for me personally, it's the Rom. I always love seeing Rom going crazy in the back line, and it's always hype to see some huge cataclysms being hit on, like, multiple people.
Yeah, true. I mean, it should be... I don't think we've seen Scooter's Rom so far this game, and that's who it should be, because Rishao is the flex for Carnage, so it's going to be interesting to see how his Rom is as someone who generally gets relegated to that Inara, to that Barrack, to that Nando, the other stuff. But we'll see, I think, how they play it. It's because it's a flip of roles. I mean, Carnage were never the one with the Rom until this point. This is their first look on Rom and Ignite. I think this is one of their first looks on Xin. So we'll see if they do the same thing, or if Scooter has a better idea of how to make that duel happen.
Yeah, it already seems like everything is already, of course, locked in and ready to go. But before you head into game, just a few more thoughts about how particularly, excuse me, these drafts could go at all, Crazy. Like, what do you see? How do you see these people playing their DPSs, their tanks? Like, what is their key role right now to be playing?
I'll tell you what I do see, and I want to mention this really quick.
Okay.
I see Rashao with an invitational Victor. Not a skin I wish I had, which I don't. So unlucky for me, and we will slide into the game here as long as you are ready, which you are. I mean, we're gonna see the Victor and the Strix kind of play these defensive backlines. They're gonna just trade into this Cassie Leon, but I feel like I give the edge to Leon over Victor, but Strix over Cassie, right? I don't think that's even a question there on that side as I'll hover over these. And Guillotine coming out for Deja Vu, even into solo tank, and I think that's smart. I think you just delete wrong. Right, Yomi, when is Yomi going to really win you a fight against Strix, Vic? I feel like they still just win it with their lifesteal that they're going to have from that Corvus. Or just natively in their kit in the case of Rashao on this Victor. So, tough one for that Xin if he does go Yomi. But instead, he's just going to eliminate Scooter as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, they'll be able to have some value out of this ROM other than him just getting ulted 24/7 and being focused down. So, that's really, they have a couple of counters to be able to try and stop that run of his. But let's see how they start off this engagement of things. Because immediately Inara eats a lot of damage. Penny taking a lot off of one shot, and Ares goes down almost instantly, but that doesn't account for the fact that Deja Vu will be soon dead after that. Scooter runs his way to the back line and runs right over Orenski. They're already in the back on the healer. Rachao finds one with the ROM as well. Kubis has to find his way out as he finds not only one shot into him, but a couple more pistols. Make sure that you actually swap to the secondary to finish off those kills with 33% for Carnage Gaming so far, and a beautiful shot onto Leon as well, already forcing him back.
I like seeing ROM with Strix on this map because when everyone's hiding behind the walls because they think they're safe, ROM knocks you up so high, it just becomes a shoot. Pull as they get knocked up into the air to get eliminated here with Ares taking out Penny as well. I don't know who can really touch the point because Deja Vu has to disengage it. He'll fall anyway.
Carnage Gaming already with the first point to be captured here as Victor is waiting to see if anyone's going to peek around that corner. Doesn't seem like it, so he's going to obviously rotate with his team, push up, see if they can get even better dismounts, even better damage on the side of Ignite Gaming. The daggers are continuously being tossed out by Ares. He's trying to see if he can only get the dismounts, but put so much damage into Penny. Penny hasn't even used her Earthen Guardian yet. And they have to use the Dombagore, if anything, just to make sure she stays alive. They have to back out. 2 minutes remaining as the car has definitely made halfway to its resting place. The Ignite Gaming are just trying to hold on as best as they can. Finding that kill on the Ares, though, that's a great start.
For sure, now you can see them moving forward with the threat of Ares flanking over the gates kind of gone. But Deja Vu one step ahead of his team, and he'll fall early with no one really to help him out.
So at least finds one on the Governor, and it depends on how Scooter will find this here. He knows what he wants to go for. A Cataclysm could be huge. I thought he was actually about to stop right there and see if he can open up a lot for his team, but he's not going to. He's actually going to flank around with the rest of his team, regroup, make sure they take care of Pennies. Now that that person is gone, they're going to worry about the cart as Deja Vu has to back up using that counter.
And they have to give up a lot of ground, but a Midnight coming in, cleansed immediately by Deja Vu, but he's in a disadvantage right now. Has to guillotine just to kill Ares. That's a great turn, though. That's an ultimate that they wanted out of the picture, and Scooter will fall right after.
Yeah, Scooter ends up getting dealt with too from the side of Ignite Gaming. Beautiful plays from them as they've immediately. I was a little bit worried. I thought that guillotine wasn't going to play out as well, and I mean that in this case that, well, sure, you used it on Maeve, but I mean, maybe you should have used it on one of the tanks, but even at the same time, you got to be able to win those engagements. They just needed a pick, and that pick paid off for them well. They were at least able to get a little bit of zone, stall it out for a couple of seconds, 40 seconds still remaining, of course, on that in the game, or I should say in the round overall. So Child tries to find a way up, see if he can plug damage into Deja Vu. He does manage to find something. I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to stay there with Ares. It seems like they have to respect it a little bit longer. Seismic Crash might be huge as they use the Dread Serpent as well. That's so many low on the side of Carnage Gaming. They find themselves a double kill as they're going to move into the next one. A full-on team wipe from the side of Ignite Gaming. Beautiful and very clinical Seismic Crash from Nara.
The problem here is, though, they also use the Dread Serpent. So they're not going to have that either for the mid-fight. Only Scout, Enlightenment, and Spite ultimates that aren't really that explosive. I guess Spite, great once you pair it with Guillotine, as it has been this game. But you're missing what you need, I think, to deal with them with the... Actually, I guess there's not a lot on Carnage, too. I was about to say they might have an advantage, but they used the Midnight, they used the Flashbang earlier. Neither team really has insane ults other than Ignite. It's just that they won't have them going into the next fight. So it's going to be another backline duel. Barrage, I think, will be very important on the side of Rashao. Who can he find with it? If he finds an important target, that could just be enough, honestly, for them, I think, to flip it around if things are going against them. Not having that, I think, also against the Strix is probably pretty nice, too. Being targeted through stealth is brutal, and they won't have to worry about that on the side of Gervin here on this Strix. And actually, well, never mind. He'll get his ult in 10 seconds. He's got Roost 4. Yeah. He'll be flashbanging all day.
Yeah. See what he goes for here as he finds the shot directly on about Damba. Already plugs 2 shots into 2 different people. Doesn't even get the cast. He doesn't see if he can find it for now. Because everyone, they just want to be aggressive. Cataclysm. They find one. Have the enlightenment to be used, but Govrin already found himself a nice double kill as the rest of the members on Carnage Gaming clean up nicely. Penny being one of the only ones remaining. They're trying to see if they can get her over that wall, and they will be able to take them out. 12% available for Carnage Gaming so far.
Great angle by Gervin to take here, too. He's watching deep into the spawn, but doesn't want to get flanked on the side. So smartly, he will back up, and the scout means they know exactly where he is. But counter actually forced out early. With Dama moving with these, where is their tank? Kind of far back, but not dismounted, so they'll have another chance for this. But again, as the guillotine gets Ares as well.
Ares already gets ulted. Now Scooter has to rethink his decision here on the point. He has to run his way out. Doesn't want to really contest too hard. Wow. As they're just waiting for their best opportunity. Govrin finding a good kill on the Deja Vu. That's a beautiful start as Cassie tries to move up, drops down onto the lower ground, goes for the flashbang. They manages to find the hit. That's going to be a beautiful look for them as well. Already they're trying to see if they can find even more damage. They found 2 kills. This is their opportunity to hit that gas pedal, and the Tropic breaches the car. And they're going to use that to push forward as best as they can. And double kill already. I thought that was about to be a collateral, but I was like, wait a minute, Strix can't do that. But that's already a good look anyway, as Ares manages to get that last hit. Ornstein is going to find himself in the dirt. Same thing for the rest of Ignite Gaming as they are on the back pedal.
And they're already got Gervin in a great position to keep poking him out and spawn, especially with these headshots on Goobies. You just can't peek when those shots are connecting, and Ornstein wants to get aggressive because he has that enlightenment. He's just so desperate to use, but he might get caught in this barrage, but it'll be Penny instead, the first to fall.
Already a great look for how Carnage Gaming want to try and hit the gas on this one. Cataclysm might be big here. Might not even need it. They're actually just going to run all over everybody, but that's what Rom does best, baby. Ares is going to go down as Anara has just now made her way out of her spawn. They know that somebody's back there behind them. Zen's playing a little bit more aggressive. Penny just made their way back to point to see if they can contest. I don't know what else it is they might be able to do here. Seems like everyone's just sort of chilling for the most part, as Carnage Gaming have to reconsider when they're going to push in. They're going to play it back for now.
Decently defensive, as we've seen here. But Gervin, I like that spot by Gervin to watch that gate. He could just stay far back. He should probably flare it before he leaves, but might save it for the front. No one really watching behind. And I'll actually get a bird's eye for this, just to see how they play this flank exactly. Rashao is the one who's going to sit back and watch, but a seismic crash coming in, but it whiffs completely, and Scooter's still free to run around the back line.
Ares is all the way in the back. It's a locked-in 1v1, or really a 1v2, with Zen being sort of pocketed by that Mount Damba. But look at everybody else on the side. They've split their team up super effectively. Penny is there, toss out the gore, manages to get the land on it, but at the same time, how much longer will they be able to live? Ares finds another kill on the Ornstein. Penny is still extremely low. The door tossed out, and there's no one being able to contest. That car has been rolling forward the entire time. Cataclysm to make sure they can put an end to this one, as Mount Damba has to touch, but it's too late. Carnage Gaming 3-1 already, as this is match point for them. Match and set point for them as a whole.
I think a super smart use of the Cataclysm there. You might not get a great use of it on mid, but look at how much ult charge is back already, by the way. He has 20%. We just used it. That ult must also give him ult charge, because that is crazy to see that happening, I think, number-wise here. He'll have it if he's aggressive enough on this mid-fight, which I'm sure he will be, being Rom of anybody. See how Carnage want to engage this with not a lot in the tank, similar to last time, but again, only Dread Serpent of the super impactful ultimates up for Ignite Gaming, so they spent some for that defense, and it's gonna come back to bite them, I think, as they start coming out here. Even less, he's running Compensator 3, come on, Victors. What, that, you don't need that. Just pull the mouse down a little bit and you can have so much more lifesteal.
Yeah, just aim for it. I think that's the advice there, honestly. But Carnage Gaming, making sure that they actually have a little bit of aggression here. But Rom may have been up a little bit more than he can chew. Ares, you can't say the same for him. He finds that pick. He finds himself into another crossbow bolt, but he did get what he was looking for. They find Corpse in the back, though. That's a great look for them. Rachao finds Deja Vu. Now Rom has to try and escape this situation. Scooter wants to hide a little bit further back. Ares is on his way to the return, but somebody has to touch. They have comeback mechanic. They can't just let this go wide. Barrage, how they lead things off with Midnight. That's scary.
Overtime.
That is a huge combo as well. They managed to unload a bunch of it into Penny, but that Dread Serpent is there. Rom runs right into it, but a Tropic Breach in the back just to force Maldamba into an open spot. They're going to be able to find that kill. Scooter is there. Penny is going to go down soon after that. Is just going to try and back off, but Orange Scheme gets run right over by Rom. Same thing for the next one. Oh man, the freight train can't stop him. More like Thomas the Tank Engine, if anything, for Rom. I mean, that's a great look for Carnage Gaming so far to be able to have this zone.
My man's just out of control there near the end. And the timing of Exceed's death was so brutal because everyone was so low. They just needed it as Rom gets the double, and we need to watch Penny to see how he makes it to the objective. DR used very early, but I guess necessary to touch. Seismic Crash coming in, but it again whiffs because Ares dodges just in time.
He has to wall himself up, tries to get on the tail end of that gourd, but look at where everybody else is. There's already one that's down. Penny goes down too as Ornstein is trying to see if he can help himself up in the high ground, but he can't. Enlightenment goes out a little bit too late as Cataclysm tries to catch whoever might be remaining. Gourd in the corner, but that's going to be it. Carnage Gaming take this match and take this set over Ignite.
And that could have gone the other way, I feel. Honestly, just like Fish Market, I feel like the fact that this was a 3-1, some of those fights were really close. It just came down to the little things. That clutch factor that I said at the start, hey, we're doing callbacks here. The clutch factor I said at the start really came in for Carnage. They were finding the Damba when everybody was low. They were surviving some crazy stuff by the skin of their teeth. We saw that one shot getting missed by Kubies at the end on the running Rom. It could have gone the other way. But Carnage, their execution was so solid, I feel. They were just making these plays happen. The barrage plus the Midnight. Penny soaks up a lot of damage. Then they get the healer before Penny can get healed back up. Just love the play from them. I want to see more of that as we go further and further into this phase.
I agree with that too. I mean, once again, I'm going to call back to what it was that you were just saying. You are 100% right. They really are super close to being able to contest a lot of these fights against Carnage Gaming. But it's those small, minute things. One of those things being, or at least one of those I can remember for sure, Penny not contesting when the cart was rolling through that and turned it into a 3-1. Yeah. Them standing off on the side, Damba having to toss out those gourds as much as possible, that's huge. That cart rolled in the entire way, and by the time Penny died, it was too late. Who else was going to step on cart and live long enough to contest?
Nobody, really.
Right, exactly.
There's no one that can do it.
Right.
Look at these damage charts, by the way. Rochelle actually kind of heads and shoulders above everybody else as the game ended. Gervin struggling a little bit compared to him, but still I think doing well comparatively to the other team and the pressure he might have been under. Damage across the board decent on Ignite, I would say. Kubies and Ornstein obviously running away with it a little bit, but of course, as I always mention, they were against a Rom. Rom just soaks damage. That's kind of his whole shtick. Healing himself for 27,000, but healing actually in favor of Exceeds, but paired with an Anora, team taking a lot of damage, I'd say that's a pretty even spread when you look at it that way. But KD's probably not going to make the game look as close as it was. 5-10 for Kubies, 1-8 for Penny. Whereas Death's high for some on Carnage. Well, I guess just Ares, but 11-4, 8-2 for both Scooter and Rochelle. I wonder how many of those are little linebacker tackles that Scooter's able to get, but solid play. And also busting out that Subjugation 4, the level 4 dash distance for Rom. You don't see it on every map, but it is very impactful, I think, on maps like Bazaar.
Very great KDs on the side of Carnage Gaming as well. I mean, 8-2, 4-2, 8-2 again, 10-8, 11-4, just everyone firing on all cylinders. But that's the type of play that we've seen from very, very noticeable players like Rochelle, like Ares, people that were on SSG last year during PPL. Means that they definitely have a lot of their work cut out for them. That is a beautiful look and goes to show the fact that, hey, they're still part of they can still hang down with the best of them. You still got to be careful when you're fighting against a lot of these guys that were formerly PPL. They still are a force to be reckoned with, and very good and huge congratulations to Carnage Gaming.
Yeah, and they're going to keep kind of biting and scratching their way up the standings, which we have here. And surprise, surprise, Parallax 5-0. At the top, really tough to deal with. If we're talking about close regions, by the way, look at this. Ignite, In Control, Carnage, all 3-2. I think they've all lost to Parallax, and they've all taken a map off of each other in a different way. I think Ignite beat In Control, Carnage beat Ignite, as we just saw, and In Control beat Carnage, I believe, all so close. So really tight there in the middle. Fatal Ambition and Tempest Team kind of struggling on the bottom. Fatal Ambition did get their first win against Tempest Team yet last week. No, it was this week. I'm sorry. I'm going crazy. This
right,
week
man.
they did
Quarantine's
get their first win against them. So good for them to have that little confidence boost. Maybe it'll carry forward into the weeks to come as we have 2 more rotations around the round robin that they have to do. But a 2-game day. I think I'm personally happy with the games we got to see. I think a good look on Yoinkers, especially. They, I think, were my standout from the day that I think impressed me more than any of the teams. But Carnage also, they looked like they had a decent kind of control of the meta here in Brazil. They lose one game that I don't think they got out drafted on necessarily. I think they just, got cataclysmed by Orinski by the end.
Exactly. Sometimes it just comes down to that, honestly, and that's all the games that we had today. Just like Kresnik was saying, we looked at EU, we looked at BR, and all of those are said and done for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and before I entirely close out, it's National Video Games Day. It's National Video Games Day, guys. Be sure that you guys go out there and play as many video games as humanly possible. Play with some friends, play with some family. I'm Fawn. That's Kresnik, and I'll see y'all later.